Hello, here we are, day 5, and we're on Hod of Chesed. So if you enjoy the content, please subscribe, hit the like button, make a comment. It'll help to grow my channel and I'll really appreciate it. I'm doing daily readings throughout the whole spring season, so if you want to be notified, hit the bell at the bottom. And if you want some information on the process of the spiritual practice I'm using here, then follow the link to my blog in the box below, Evolutionary Paradigm Shift. So here we are. We have the same process as before. I have the 4 and the 8 of Cups, which represent the 4 of the Sephiroth Chesed and the 8 Sephiroth Hod. I've chosen some major arcana cards, which I feel a good reflection on these cards. But the Rumi Oracle deck is pulled at random. And today we have got number 41, and it's the victory of Miriam. So I'll start with the words of Rumi from this oracle deck. If you are longing to caress the moon, don't turn away from it. If you're not ill, why do you crawl under a blanket to hide? You are a quarry of sweets. Why do you look so sour? You live in the spring of life. Why are you withered inside? Don't fight against yourself. Don't flee from what could be your glory. Like a fearless moth, dive into the flame. Why be linked to your obsessions? Burn out in the flames until your heart and soul are enlightened. Get out of the old carcass and form yourself a new body. Why are you afraid of a fox when you descend from lions? Why be a lame ass when you could have the strength of stallions? The beloved you seek will arrive to open the door to your fortune, for love is the key that opens all your locks. You feel you're mortal, but I know you're divine. You feel you're not ready for the task, and I know that triumph is only moments away. You reach to me for protection, but you are me, and the protection that you seek is already within you. We're not apart. I'm living through all that you are and all that you love, all that you've lost, and all that you offer to me in surrender. I am in you as your courage and magnificence, and any task I send to you is simply one of the tasks for which you were born. You're an eagle with wings ready to soar, so I push you from the cliff top that you may know yourself. So when I pulled this card, I was a bit blown away in terms of, I always get blown away with the tarot, of how poignant it is for today, because we're on Hod of Chesed. So Hod is kind of glory. It's about glory, splendor. It's about submission and surrender. And then we've got the overflow of Hod. So I think Rumi knew Hod. He really knew it, because he's talking there about that sense of who we actually are. And I found a quote from Michelangelo some time ago that I found really poignant. And Michelangelo, I think it was when he was making that beautiful statue of David, and he was asked, how do you make these magnificent kind of sculptures out of marble? And what Michelangelo said, it's not the exact quote, I haven't got it with me, but what he basically said is he looks at the block of marble and he sees the angel inside it, and he just chips away the excess marble to free the angel from the block. And I just find that incredible, in the sense of that is what life is about. The surrender of Hod, the gratitude, is that we already are the things that we seek. We're already there, but we need to surrender to the process of life to kind of manifest the beauty that we actually already are. We're fragmented. The world is fragmented. It's shattered into pieces, and our concept of the world, of the cosmos, of ourselves is shattered. But nevertheless, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I talked about the mirror shattering, a holographic mirror where we contain the whole. We contain the seed of the whole. So yeah, so I thought it was a beautiful card to pull at random, and as usual, it really kind of fits in with the cards that I've chosen to reflect the separate of the day. So the cards I've got, the first card is the Empress. Yeah. So the Empress, I see the Empress almost as the cosmic womb. She sort of represents the deep experiences of life, the painful things we go through, the joyful things, but it's like the really deep stuff that happens to us. So she's like the energy of the life processes. So birth, decay, death. Here comes death and decay again. Regeneration. So she's like an archetypal cosmic womb. It's we pass through that on our birth, and we go back through that on our death. So she's kind of a passage through. She's here, she looks kind of like a Gaia figure. Yeah. So this is the Empress, and it is a huge cycle that we're in, that we don't always grasp. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, and of course the Wheel of Fortune, like the archetypal sense of the Wheel of Fortune, is our spiritual evolution. It's the movement forward, but it's a movement forward on our level, on the micro level, but it's also a cosmic forward moving. It's a cycle, again, like the Empress. It's that bigger cycle that we have to kind of fit into, and it's like a surrender to those cycles. We need to surrender to those cycles, not fight them. It's an emotional, intuitive call. It's deep calling to deep. It's those things that we get pulled to, whether we get pulled to religion or philosophy or metaphysics or psychology. It's that kind of call deep in the soul, down to the soul. And then we have the Star, and the Star is another energy of kind of transformation. It comes, it represents, there's a light on that, I don't know if you can see it. It represents the Aquarian energy, so it's the anima mundi, it's the collective, it's the world soul, and it's also the myth of Ganymedes. I think it was Zeus who kidnapped, he was beautiful Ganymedes, and he was kidnapped and he was taken up to serve as a cupbearer in the assembly of the gods, and then Zeus made him into the constellation of Aquarius. But actually what the Star is kind of depicting is the path of meditation and creativity, the creative imagination. It's a path of like the artist and the creative scientist, and it's the search in our unconscious, you know, our unconscious, to understand our unconsciousness, so that we can understand the bigger cycles, these huge cosmic cycles. You know, all of these are about various cycles. So the star is that call to that. It's the going inward. Again, we might go searching, you know, through art, through science, through any kind of creativity, to sort of get contact with our soul and to find a way through to the bigger macro cycles of life. So when we're looking at Hod and Chesed, Hod and Chesed, we're looking at the massive overflow, the loving kindness, the endless unconditional love that's falling down to us. And a Hod is actually about a submission, and I see that in the cycles of life. We have to submit to those cycles. We're all born, we all die, our bodies fall apart. You know, the cosmic cycles, the astrological cycles, the cycles within nature. We can't get away from that. And the bigger spiritual cycles, the cycle of our soul, and also the kind of interconnectedness of us all, that we're not just a single individual. We are an individual, but we're also part of this collective soul. We're all fragments of the big holographic mirror that burst into creation. So we're kind of all part of that. Now, we've got the Eight of Cups for Hod, because obviously Hod's the 8th Sephirot. So with the Eight of Cups, you can see this guy, he's walking away from these cups. He's under the light of the moon. And I see, if you go back to, I can't remember which day it was, but we were looking at Geburah, and it was the 5 of Cups, and the guy had 3 cups. I think I've got it here. Yeah, that was the 5, the Geburah. So he stood this side of the river looking at the 3 cups. He's looking sad. He's judging where he's at and not crossing the river. You can go back and look at that episode, Geburah of Chesed. So this guy, now the cups, he's got more cups, more of the overflow in Chesed. So he's obviously gone from here, and he's taken the cups, and he's got his cups stacked up there. But he's obviously spent time, he's looked at the cups, and he's decided to take that cup being offered in the 4 of Cups, and he's crossed the river that he wasn't seeing in Geburah. And he's following the path of the moon. So I think what this is where we surrender. We see these huge cycles, you know, the cosmic womb, the cycles of evolution, the star. We suddenly see that we're just a kind of grain of sand in the overall picture, but also the beauty of how we fit within the whole. I'll tell you what, I love looking at ants, because ants to me sort of speak of this kind of picture, because they're all single ants, but if you watch them, they've all got their little jobs to do. They're either marching off, getting the leaves, they're feeding the queen, they're all, and they kind of move as one entity. They're like many ants acting as one entity for one purpose. So it's like surrender to that big whole and the knowledge that you are part of a big whole. So when we put that up with yesterday's reading, Netzach was about the outgoing sense of ego. It was about the obtaining a healthy ego. It was outward moving. This in Hod is inner moving. It is about surrender, humility, and it's also, It's also about accepting, you know, having an acceptance of how you fit into the whole picture, and a surrender and a humility to take this cup that's being offered, this cup, this cosmic cup, and just follow the path of the moon. Now, if we put this down to our everyday lives, we can have times where it is really hard to accept. It is really hard to submit to life. You know, if we have someone die or someone leave, or we lose our jobs, or we just get really stressful life circumstances, it is really hard to submit. On the spiritual path, it's really hard to submit when you have a sense spirit is showing you that you've got a really not very nice egotistical trait that is actually bringing, you know, the opposite of Hesed. It's actually bringing restriction, and it's bringing pain, and it's bringing upset to other people. It's sometimes easy to sit there and ignore. You know, that cup is not always something of beautiful, yummy stuff. Sometimes that cup's filled with things you really don't want to look at. So I see Hod as the ability to receive and accept what you're shown intuitively, emotionally, and it could be, you know, that we have to accept and heal hideous things from our past, you know, things where we've been really hurt, you know, where we've been really wounded and damaged, and, you know, to be able to accept that that's part of your life cycle, and that's part of life and lessons and growth and wisdom is an incredible difficult thing to do. So this guy, for me, has got the humility to go, okay, they were the cups life handed me. They're the circumstances, but that actually I need to go further into this. I need to follow the path of the moon. I need to see where this all fits. I need to understand what these lessons are about. I want to pursue, you know, the cosmic. I want to pursue the big picture. I want to understand the cosmic patterns, and I want to receive what I need to see. I want to be in the flow. I want to be able to serve the collective. It's a kind of knowledge that there's almost like a big blueprint that we're working within, and everything is grist for the meal. Whether it's a bad situation, a good one, it's grist for the meal. It all makes bread. So that is the kind of energy of Hod. The other thing I'll say about Hod and Netzach from yesterday is they're known as the two Sephirot that bring deep illumination, prophecy. Actually, the wheel, part of the reason I picked the wheel is it reminds me of Ezekiel's vision of the wheel within wheels and the creatures that he saw. So Hod and Netzach is almost like a spirit of prophecy. So when we surrender and the path of the moon, we're moving into a landscape, you know, that is so much bigger than us. It's a cosmic landscape. It's a huge landscape, and it takes a lot of courage. It can be a scary thing to do, but it's like the place where we receive the unseen, you know. So although it's a difficult thing to do, and in our grief and in our loss and in our pain, actually it can be where the treasure lies in us. So it's that, you know, the other side with this and this page, you could see this guy of refusing to accept the emotions he feels. You could see this guy as walking away from the emotions he feels. So they could be either, and we need to sit and accept our pain, our loss. We need to let it flow over us. We need to deal with it. And we need to face ourselves in that sense. So yeah, this is surrender. But actually, when you surrender, the thing is, Hesed, you've got love, peace, abundance. You've got presence with you. You've got this feminine energy, you know, victory of Miriam, the divine feminine, the Empress. You're held in that. You're not left alone. There's so much that brings when you surrender. And also, the other side, the other thing that I kind of saw with these cards is when you're within a certain religion and you're stuck in the dogma, not even just religion, it can be the dogma of a philosophy you've got, or even science. Science can be incredibly dogmatic, you know, where you kind of outgrow it, and it can be the fear. This can be the fear, you know. I mean, within the Judo Christian religions, you've got the Kabbalah and the Hermenetic traditions. There's mysticism. Islam has got Sufi, you know, there's kind of a move beyond the tradition and dogma of religion. So this too could be like that fear. You know, I know from Christianity, as I was brought up in Christianity, you can have a fear of things like this, you know, the tarots of the devil. It's, you know, metaphysics, mysticism. It's dangerous. It's dark. It's, you know. So again, this could be a walking away from dogma, or it could be a refusing of what the cosmic mystical world is bringing us. It can be about fears, you know, fears of walking into that unknown path of the moon, where you've got a landscape that's not material or known. It's not full of traditions, and I don't think we should throw any traditions away. We shouldn't throw away the baby with the bath water. We should celebrate our traditions. But we should also seek to move beyond them, to receive all that they're about, because, you know, the universe is Hesed, it's boundless. Even within science, we cannot grasp the largeness, the hugeness of what's out there in any shape or form. So that's kind of my reflections on that. What I'm going to do now is I am going to pull a chakra card, and because it's Hod, it'll be with Hod and Netzach, it's the left and right, funnily enough, the left and right legs. So it's like, where are your legs taking you, you know, to a dead end or to the expansive Hesed? You know, where are you walking? How are you walking? What are you walking with? It's that kind of thing. But it relates to the solar plexus, your wheel, probably your will to walk. So I'm going to shuffle the solar plexus cards out of the chakra deck and see what this brings for us. Ah, self-mastery. So yeah, this is kind of Netzach and Hod in tandem. It's the marrying of, you know, it's like that healthy ego of Netzach, the kind of you know, realizing how, you know, where you're gifted, where you're talented. In fact, with the star, the shadow side of this star is, you know, a low self-esteem. It's not accepting your talents and your gifts and your abilities. So with self-mastery, with Netzach, yesterday's, it's that self-mastery and having a healthy ego. So not being kind of inflated, as in the Seven of Cups, and going with an illusory version of yourself, but also not being in the illusion, that you're not good enough, that you don't know enough, that you can't, you know, walk over that bridge and do that path being fearful. So self-mastery, we may not be able to control all these huge cycles, but what we can control is our thought life. We can control our actions. Yeah. So it's a self-mastery over what we can master. We can master our speech. We may want to call someone something because they've upset us, or they're being, you know, they're acting ridiculously. But we've got control whether we say something, whether we encourage with loving kindness, or we kind of say what's actually on our mind. So there's a self-mastery with Netzach and Hod, and it's actually about getting your ego in balance, you know, having the opposites balance. So it's outward and inward. So it's knowing your limitations but knowing your abilities, and then it's walking in the direction that you have the ability to do. So self-mastery is about overcoming the obstacles, you know, not refusing. If there's something you love doing, you dream about doing, and you constantly refuse to do it because you feel one, unworthy or not equipped, or, you know, that's not good. You need to master that emotion of unworthiness. You need to master that thought pattern. You need to do the walk of the moon and see where you are being stopped. You know, what is it in your unconscious, your subconscious? What is it? What is it in your conditioning, in your cultural environment, your spiritual environment, your family environment? What is it that is telling you you can't take this walk because you're unworthy or you haven't got what it takes? You know, use your intuition. Walk the way you're being told to walk, because there's enormous benefit in it. Yeah, so, and that's the wheel, that's the solar plexus. So, and I mean, if you feel that you're having trouble kind of either being self-inflated, if you're honest enough to admit that, or not good enough, or you're having anything to do with the solar plexus, the fire in your belly, you know, not being able to really express who you are and what you're about, then go on YouTube. There's loads of balancing, healing meditations you can do that will really help with that. So yeah, self-mastery typifies this Netzach and Hod. The other thing I'm going to do is we'll use this deck because some are out there. I'm going to do a bit of a read, a short read, if there's any personal messages. Yeah, the other thing that kept coming into my head as because in the morning I reflect on these before I do the reading, but I had that song Diana Ross shows me age. Do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? When you look behind you, there's no open doors. You know, what are you hoping for? And I know that sounds a bit kind of like cheesy, but it is about that. It's like, what are you hoping for? What do you know where you're going from to? You need to ask these questions. You need to go within the Hod. You need to submit to your talents, your abilities, your place. You know, whatever spirit is showing you, whatever your higher self, your intuition is telling you, you need to submit to that and have gratitude for what's in you and how you can contribute to the whole. Okay, enough of that. So we have the Knight of Wands. We have the Nine of Pentacles. And we have the 7, which again is Netzach. It's that kind of conflict. It's that sense of having to defend your ground, which is a good thing, because if you're doing something that, you know, people were up against, but you know it's part of your life journey, it's the way that you can serve, then it's good. But it's not good to be living in a defensive manner. And we've got the Knight of Wands. So the Knight, this is, you know, the feeling, the perception. So you've got perception coming towards you, perhaps about this struggle that you've got. You've got a gift of perception coming towards you, you know, go inside, go down, because actually you're meant to have that abundance, and that's the abundance of Chesed. It's the abundance that's being offered. So if you find that you're kind of in a defensive mode, you feel like you're in conflict, you know, accept the wand, accept the cup, accept the abundance that's coming towards you. I think that's a message for that. So I hope that's helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. And as I say, if you think someone else can benefit, then please share. All right, take care, lots of love, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.